Hello students, welcome to the lecture on quality system, organizing and implementation, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand implementation framework, discuss about International Organization for Standardization ISO, understand the ISO 9000 standards, explain the implementing ISO 9000 quality management system, discuss the steps in ISO 9000 registration. Let's start with a brief introduction. Quality system organization is a process for ensuring that all the activities necessary to design, develop and deliver a product or service are conducted effectively and efficiently. It typically involves one or more of the following elements: quality planning, quality control, quality assurance and quality improvement. Thus, it focuses not only on product and service quality but also on the means to achieve it. By utilizing quality assurance and control of function as well as of products, it is possible to achieve more consistent quality. Quality has been receiving a great deal of attention in the last few years. The experience for an important part has been in the information system engineering industry. Let us now discuss implementation framework. The implementation of a quality system is not the same for all organizations. Therefore, the contingency theory of Galbraith can be applied for quality system implementation as well. In line with this theory, one can define two basic principles for quality system implementation. There is no single best way for implementing a quality system within different organizations. There is no single right quality system which can be applied in all organizations. Organizational assessment. The organization-specific contingency factors will be analyzed on the basis of the 7S model of McKinsey. These 7S cover all important aspects of an organization. Peters and Waterman used this model to describe excellent organizations. In their search for excellence, they found that not only the hard things mattered, such as structure and strategy and system, but also the soft, people-related things such as staff, style, skills, and shared values. This is also true for the implementation of a quality system. It is not the formal quality system itself that determines the success of the implementation, but rather the people who have to work with it, quality to determine by people. Let us now discuss about International Organization for Standardization ISO. Standards are documented agreements containing technical specification or other precise criteria to be used consistently as rules, guidelines or definition of characteristic to ensure that materials, products, processes and services are fit for their purpose. International standards contribute to making life simpler and to increasing the reliability and effectiveness of the goods and services one uses. ISO is a worldwide federation of national standards bodies from some 100 countries, one from each country. ISO's work results in international agreements which are published as international standards. International standardization began in the electrotechnical field. The International Electrotechnical Commission (IEC) was created in 1906. The member bodies have four principal tasks: informing potentially interested parties in their country of relevant international standardization opportunities and initiatives, organizing so that a concerted view of the country's interest is presented during international negotiation, leading to standards agreement, ensuring that a secretariat is provided for those ISO technical committees and subcommittees in which the country has an interest, providing their country's share of financial support for the central operation of ISO through payment of membership dues. History of ISO. The ISO is a non-governmental organization established in 1947. The mission of ISO is to promote the development of standardization and related activities in the world with a view to facilitating the international exchange of goods and services and to developing cooperation in the spheres of intellectual, scientific, technological and economic activity. Quite simply, ISO 9000 is a series of standards which a company can use as a guideline for setting up a quality management system. The critical word in this definition is system. The ISO 9000 series has nothing to do with product quality. It is solely concerned with offering a generic guideline for setting up an effective quality management system, ensuring a company has such a system in place and that it is understood and adhered to by everyone in the company. What is in a standard? What does an ISO standard look like? It can be anything from a 4-page document or 1,000-page tome, including twice the weight of the standard itself in informative annexes. It may specify the tasks that a certain range of equipment must be able to perform or describe in detail an apparatus and its safety features. It may contain symbols, definition, diagrams, codes, tests, methods, etc. How are ISO standards developed? The ISO standards are developed according to the following principle: consensus. The views of all interests are taken into account as manufacturers, vendors and users, consumer groups, testing laboratories, governments, engineering professions, and research organizations. Industry-wide, global solution to satisfy industries and customer worldwide. Voluntary, international standardization is market-driven and therefore based on voluntary involvement of all interests in the marketplace. Let us discuss ISO 9000 standards. ISO 9000 is a series of international standards developed by quality experts from around the world for use by companies that either want to implement their own in-house quality system or to ensure that suppliers have appropriate quality system in place. The standards were developed under the auspices of the International Organization for Standardization for both quality management and quality assurance that has been adopted by over 90 countries in the world. The ISO 9000 standards are developed and maintained by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. Benefits of ISO 9000. The primary value of ISO 9000 registration is consistent delivery of a product or service to a defined standard and improved bottom line performance. ISO registration also has a significant bearing on market credibility as well. Other benefits of ISO certification. Some prospective buyers may require their suppliers to be ISO registered. 90 countries around the world have adopted ISO standards. Companies wishing to do business in Europe may have no choice but to adopt it as it is an accepted part of doing business. Perceived higher quality product or service. Objective third-party verification of quality assurance. What is the process? Registration is the formal assessment of a company's quality management system by an independent third party known as a quality registrar. In some countries, the term certification is used in place of registration. The process of becoming registered or certified takes approximately 12 to 18 months depending upon whether one's small business has procedures and records for management of the business. To go through the ISO generally requires 4 main tasks. Make a formal application to ISO certification registration body. The review. The body will look over quality manual. If weaknesses are spotted, they will identify and will have to modify the manual. The audit. This is where the documentation of the manual procedure will be put to the test. If there are problems with these, then either one certification registration could be withheld until such time as the problems are corrected, or if minor in nature, then it may be given a conditional registration. Certification or registration granted. Periodic audits are done for the life of the certification registration. Compliance with the current standard is necessary to maintain registration. Requirements of ISO 9000 standard. The ISO 9000 standards require a standard language for documenting quality procedures, documented procedures covering all parts of the organization within the scope of registration for ensuring that quality objectives are met, a system to track and manage evidence that these practices are instituted throughout the organization, and a third-party auditing model to assess, certify and maintain certification of organization. ISO 9000 series. The ISO 9000 is a series of international quality standards, the guiding principle of which is the prevention of defects through the planning and application of best practices at every stage of business from design through to installation and servicing. The ISO 9000 series classifies products into generic product categories: hardware, software, processed materials and services. The standards are applicable to all industry sectors. The standards are published in a series of booklets, each covering a specific area. ISO 8402. Quality management and quality assurance vocabulary. ISO 9000 explains fundamental quality concepts and provides guidelines for the selection and application of each standard. ISO 9001 model for quality assurance in design, development, production, installation and servicing. ISO 9002 model for quality assurance in the production and installation of manufacturing system. ISO 9003 quality assurance in final inception and testing. ISO 9004 guidelines for the application of standards in quality management and quality system. ISO 10011 guidelines for auditing quality system. ISO 10012 requirements for measuring equipment. ISO 10013 guidelines for quality manuals. ISO 9000 and ISO 9004 are guideline standards. They describe what is necessary to accomplish the requirements outlined in standard 9001, 9002 or 9003.
ISO 9000 series of standard. ISO 9000 includes the following standards: ISO 9001-2008 Quality Management Systems requirements is intended for use in any organization regardless of size, type, or product, including service. It provides a number of requirements which an organization needs to fulfill to achieve customer satisfaction through consistent products and services which meet customer expectations. It includes a requirement for continual, i.e., planned, improvement of the quality management system, for which ISO 9004-2000 provides many hints. This is the only implementation for which third-party auditors can grant certification. It should be noted The certification is not described as any of the needs of an organization as a driver for using ISO 9001, see ISO 9001-2000 Section 1, Scope, but does recognize that it may be used for such a purpose, see ISO 9001-2000 Section 0.1, Introduction. ISO 9004-2000 Quality Management Systems Guidelines for Performance Improvements covers continual improvement. This gives you advice on what you could do to enhance a mature system. This document very specifically states that it is not intended as a guide to implementation. There are many more standards in the ISO 9001, many of them not even carrying ISO 900X numbers. For example, some standards in the 10,000 range are considered part of the 9,000 group. ISO 10007, 1995 discusses configuration management, which for most organizations is just one element of a complete management system. ISO notes, the emphasis on certification tends to overshadow the fact that there is an entire family of ISO 9000 standards. Organizations stand to obtain the greatest value when the standards in the new core series are used in an integrated manner, both with each other and with the other standards making up the ISO 9000 family as a whole. Note that the previous members of the ISO 9000 series, 9002 and 9003, have been integrated into 9001. In most cases, an organization claiming to be ISO 9000 registered is referring to ISO 9001.
Roles of the ISO 9000 series. The purpose of the ISO 9000 series is to increase the confidence of customers in the quality systems of their suppliers. This is particularly important when there are great distances between parties, different languages and different terms. It provides for a common framework, a reference point from which to work. It provides general requirements against which a customer can evaluate the adequacy of a supplier's quality system. Each of its 20 elements covers a particular area of an organization's business processes. Management responsibility, quality planning, contract review, design control, document and data control, purchasing, control of customer supplied product, identification and traceability, process control, inception and testing, control of inception, measuring and test equipment, inception and test status, control of non-conforming product, corrective and preventive action, storage, handling, packaging, preservation and delivery, control of quality records, internal quality audits, training, servicing, statistical techniques. ISO 9000 principles are a customer focus, good leadership, involvement of people, process approach to quality management, management system approach, continual improvement, factual approach to decision making, supplier relationship. Let us now discuss how to implement ISO 9000 quality management system. Implementation of ISO 9000 affects the entire organization right from the start. If pursued with total dedication, it results in cultural transition to an atmosphere of continuous improvement. The process of implementing ISO 9000 depends on the sophistication of one's existing quality program, the size of one's organization and the complexity of one's process. The 14 essential steps to be followed through in order to implement ISO 9000 quality management system successfully are: Step 1. Top management commitment. Step 2. Establish implementation team. Step 3. Start ISO 9000 awareness programs. Step 4. Provide training. Step 5. Conduct initial status survey. Step 6. Create a documented implementation plan. Step 7. Develop quality management system documentation. Step 8. Document control. Step 9. Implementation. Step 10. Internal quality audit. Step 11. Management review. Step 12. Pre-assessment audit. Step 13. Certification and registration. Step 14. Continual improvement. Let us discuss the steps in ISO 9000 registration. The ISO 9001 registration process is fairly straightforward, consisting of 6 simple steps. Normally, the registrar is selected while the system is still being developed and implemented. The registrar will communicate any specific requirements that may have or that the accreditation body may have imposed. The registration process consists of 6 steps. Step 1. ISO 9001 application or contract. The application also may be called a contract. It defines the right and obligation of both parties, including the registrar's access right to facilitate and information, confidentiality issues, right to appeal or file a complaint, instruction on use of registration certificates, condition for terminating the application. Step 2. ISO 9001 QMS Documents Review. The ISO registrar will require a copy of one's quality manual implementing quality procedures and reports and forms for a document review. Step 3. ISO 9001 Reassessment Audit. Most registrars require a reassessment audit, others offer it as an opinion. The reassessment is an initial review of one's quality management system to identify any significant omissions or weaknesses in the system and provide one's organization an opportunity to correct any deficiencies before the regular registration assessment is conducted. Step 4. Assessment or audit to ISO 9001-2008. In conducting the audit, the auditors follow ISO 10011. The ISO lead auditor will provide an audit schedule or plan in advance of the audit. This allows personnel to schedule their time appropriately to ensure they are available at the appropriate times. Step 5. ISO registration. After the audit and report are completed and all non-conformities are addressed as appropriate, the company will receive a registration certificate that identifies the quality system as being in compliance with ISO 9001-2008. Step 6. ISO 9001 Surveillance Audit. After the registration, the process does not end. ISO 9001 certification is not a one-time activity. Achieving certification means that one has developed, implemented, and in maintaining a quality management system that minimally meets the requirements of ISO 9001 to ensure the system is maintained and changes do not result in deficiencies in the system. Registrar perform regular surveillances of one's system. Publicizing ISO certification. The International Organization for Standardization website has detailed explanation on publicizing ISO 9001 or ISO 14001 certification. Also available as a PDF document, it contains useful information on using certification for advertising or public relation. For example, one may not use ISO logo or trademarks. A number of different rules and restrictions apply, so it is important to read this document before one broadcasts his or her certification to the public. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. The organizational assessment phase consists of an organizational diagnosis to examine the situational factors and to determine contingency factors for quality system implementation. The 7S have been supplemented with 2 change-related factors, that is problem ownership and change experience. Furthermore, quality maturity and time pressure have been added. International standards contribute to making life simpler and to increasing the reliability and effectiveness of the goods and services one uses. ISO 9000 is a series of standards which a company can use as a guideline for setting up a quality management system. The ISO 9000 quality management system can enable the company to increase profitability and customer satisfaction, to reduce waste and rework, shorten cycle times, improve problem tracking and resolution, and better supplier relations.